Okay, what's that old saying? And I don't know if this is going to be apropos, but turnabout is fair play. All right. Well, I saw perhaps back, oh gosh, 50, a good 50, maybe even 55 years ago in the town of Netcong, New Jersey. A really good case of turnabout. And I just thought of this the other day. I must have been passing through Netcong and I just remembered the situation I saw and how the role was reversed real quick. And I wrote it down. I wrote it down on my on a slip of paper and said, first chance I get, I got to do a video blurb about this. Okay, so let's say this would have been, I'd say, the early to mid '60s. All right, there was. I don't even think the Beatles were around just yet. I don't think so. Maybe they were just starting on the scene. Some kids like me were trying to grow their hair long, and yet there were also greasers, and there were also people who were, I guess you'd call them preppies. They didn't quite go for the hot rod scene. They liked the Kingston Trio perhaps more than they liked the Rolling Stones. Okay. Frat guys. Yeah, they'd be in fraternities. And again, if you remember the non-Animal House fraternities in what was in that movie Animal House, one of my favorite movies. Because it was kind of true to form, and that movie. Picture that. Yeah, there were those kind of people. There were, again, like I said, there was gobs of greasers, and the greasers were, for the most part, I always thought they were okay. Now that I think about it, they really weren't. Even though they looked kind of tough, these were guys like in motorcycle jackets. Maybe they wore these motorcycle hats that almost looked sort of like a cross between a policeman's hat and a bus driver's hat. Their hair would be greased back, and they'd wear their hair in what was called a DA, meaning basically a duck's rear end. If you look at a duck's rear end, that's sort of how their hair was and they were very careful about their hair. Oh yeah, couldn't be a hair out of place. Generally didn't have beards. Some of the older ones greasers might have a mustache, a little mustache. Not a Hitler mustache, but a mustache, yeah. Like this one would be, only a little, mine's more of an old man mustache now. Theirs would be a little more trimmed. Okay. And they were tough, they'd be hanging out on corners, whooping at the girls and punching each other in the arm and, usually making veiled threats at passersby, people like me. Skinny, 90-pound weaklings walking by. And yet, I never knew a greaser to really be a bully. No, not really. I mean, they kind of, hey, what are you doing here? Hey, oh, that kind of thing. They'd always have hot rods. They'd have some kind of, not like you see at a car show. These would be more like rat rods. They'd have the good hubcaps on the side of the car that would be facing the sidewalk, so their car looked a little better for the girls. And these were the guys who would always be leaning out the window, screaming at the girls, hey, baby, hey, yo, whoa, hey, yeah. And, oh, yeah. And probably, truth be known, they probably didn't score until they were 30 with a pickup line like that. But they acted like they did, yeah. Okay. And all in all, they were good guys. They were the guys you'd see on loading docks, loading trucks, driving trucks. Again, not bad guys, really. You get to know them. And I don't know. They just, but, and I remember one spot where greasers would hang out is in front of a malt shop. They were probably thrown out of the place 18 times. For profanity or something. So they hang out outside, and you go walking in, hey, what are you doing? Hey, okay. Maybe if you rode your bike, past them, they'd be looking at you like, hey, what are you doing? You have a car? Hey, yeah. And of course, they were pretty much at war with the preppies. Most of the time. And here, okay, so there's about 3 greasers. again with the dungarees and the engineer boots, these black boots, and this guy pulls in an MG, and squeaks in next to one of their rat rods. Okay, maybe an old pickup truck or something. Generally they'd get these old Hudsons, I think from the '50s, spray paint them black, and they'd cruise around looking for trouble. Okay. They were gang members, only they really weren't, at least not in Jersey anyway. And but anyway, so this guy pulls up in like a fairly modern MG, let's say an MG, and he's got the sports car cap. He's wearing a sweater, yeah, and slacks instead of dungarees, and he's got loafers on, yeah. And they're having a ball with him. Hey, yo, what? Hey, what kind? You got a toy car there? And he just ignores him and walks in and gets. I guess he was getting probably a New York Times for his father, and, and mom. And he comes out. He's got his paper and maybe a cup of tea. Yeah. Oh, they're just hooting. And they kind of surround his car, and he's looking at him. He says, "Hey, you guys move out of my way, please." Yeah, yeah, we'll move out of your way. And they go to the back of the car, the three of them, and they've been looking it over. They weren't hurting it. They were just, hey, whoa, sissy car here. Yeah, and so what they do is the guy hops into his car, the preppy, starts the engine, and these guys give each other the elbow, and they on that cue they run to the car, to the MG, and the three of them pick up the rear end of the car. Yeah, oh yeah, tough guys. They pick up the car. They've got it now to where the rear wheels are off the pavement, and the guy looks at him. He says, "Put my car down." He said, "No, hey, make us." He says, "Well, okay." He says, "If that's what you want." So what he does, he shifts his car into reverse and guns the motor. And all of a sudden they realize they're trapped. If the car's getting heavy, but if they put it down, the car's going to jolt backwards and crush them against the concrete wall of the luncheonette. All of a sudden they're stuck. And there's nothing they can do. If one guy leaves, the other two won't be able to hold the car. And so it goes down, and they're doomed. They got to stick together, and they're holding the car, The guy says, "You guys are going to put my car..." The guy, the prep says, "You going to put my car down?" Hey, mister, come on. Hey, yo, what? And pretty soon the two on the outside are saying, if we run, they'll just get Louis. The car will just get Louis. And Louis said, "You got your bad." You can imagine the profanity. And they're just sitting there, and there's this MG is just belching exhaust, and the wheels are spinning at about 30 miles an hour. These guys don't stand a chance. And it's like they're in gym class all of a sudden, and the gym teacher's got them doing push-ups. They are really getting tired. And they're begging the guy now. All of a sudden, they aren't talking so tough. And he says, "Well, if you'll put me down and let me go." "Yeah, Mr. Will, okay, yeah, yo." And they put the car gently down. They pat the car and say, "Go." And the guy says, "Well, thank you, gentlemen." And off he goes. Yeah. And of course, the two of them start punching each other in the arm. They're mad. They're blaming each other for their misfortune. It was just so cool to see. I guess you had to have been there, but it was a turn. The funny thing is those greasers, I probably have played oldies for them at various cruise nights. I'm sure they almost have to be the case. I'm wondering if any of my friends see this, if you were involved in that incident. It was very notorious. Yeah, it was the big talk of Nekong for a while. And I'll never forget it. And thank heaven I made a blurb. But it's anyway, I share it with you. Or maybe if you're the guy, maybe you're the guy who turned. He's probably the guy who turned the tables on these guys. Probably went into the military, became a general. Uh, oh man, they got nailed. But again, no harm done. Just some sore muscles, and all was well as usual. Anyway, I thought you'd like that story. We'll see you later, friends. God bless.